Hi, everyone. It's Marilyn Allure, and welcome to Who Can It Be Now? This is going to be a story podcast, and I'm going to talk about 10Xing your life, 20Xing your life, getting into the driver's seat of your life. And I'm going to offer up some suggestions of things you can do and some rituals that I do that are really expanding my life. And something I'm not going to do on this podcast is bang my desk like I just did. I was listening back to a recent podcast and I was like, damn girl, stop hitting the desk and the mic. I have to get one of those floating mics and I just haven't done it yet. There's way too much going on. For those of you new to me, I've been listening to some podcasts and I'm like, oh, they introduced themselves so well. And I just dive right in thinking that everybody who's listening is the first time they're listening. But I mean, they've been listening to me for a while. But if it's the first time you're listening to me, I am a psychic medium, teacher, and coach. I've been channeling for over 17, 18 years now, and I'm very normal and practical. Well, maybe I'm not normal compared to some people, but I don't channel in a way where I change my voice and it sounds really strange or I have an accent. And I live a very practical life. I'm all about bridging the spiritual with the practical so that you can have an experience on this earth plane while you're here in all your glory and gifts and still be able to have an incredible life. And I've really been experiencing that lately, and I want to share that with all of you because I've stepped into something inside myself that is really quite remarkable for me, and it's kind of blowing me away. And as it's doing that for me, I really want to get the message out there that it can happen for you too. So we're going to talk a little bit about 10Xing your life, which some of you have heard me talk about, but this is going to be a little bit different than what you used to. And I'm just going to share some stories of what's going on in my life right now to help you. I did have some paranormal stories because I promised to start bringing those, not that you asked me to, but I was going to start bringing those back in because my life is always paranormal and your life may always be paranormal. Like things always happen. So I don't even think about it, but I can't remember them now. So if I don't write them down, I don't remember them because it's like it happens all the time. What the heck? I really want to talk to you about taking control of your life, being in the driver's seat of your life. I was being interviewed on a telesummit and I was listening and watching all the comments from the people that were listening to the telesummit. You're just going to have to deal with my little wonkiness right now. And I'm quite amazed by, I haven't done telesummits in a while because I stopped doing them because my business in 2022, I completely took it apart. And then in 2023, which is when I'm recording this now, October 18th, 2023, you'll be listening to it, I think, in November or December of this year, 2023. Or maybe you'll be listening to it next year. I don't know. That's why I say dates. We're going to talk about time another time. And when I started to 10X my life in 2022, everything kind of fell apart, but it had to fall apart. So for those of you who really want to shift and change your life and you really want to tiptoe around it and you don't want anything bad to happen or what you term to be bad, I'm going to ask you to really let go of that because what we term to be bad is actually quite good for us a lot of the times, as long as we're making really good choices. So during that period of time, I chose not to sell two of my biggest programs for 6 months. I just couldn't sell them. I wasn't behind them anymore. I just wasn't feeling it. And I developed a new program called Next Level Living that I'm absolutely loving, absolutely loving. You can check that out at marilynaloria.com/next. And I believe it's in the show notes. So when I did that, it was a really, really tough year. I don't want to lie to you guys. Like it was really horrendous. There was about 6 months of anxiety there because I didn't know what was going on and income streams that I had dried up because I stopped selling things, right? I was still making money, but it wasn't like the way I was making money in the past. But I just couldn't, I'm a very integral person and I can't, if something doesn't speak to me anymore, I just can't do it. Things all worked out. It was great. And 2023, this year has been all about like really dialing in the systems for my business. Great team supporting me. And now we're coming out with other products. 10X Your Life product is coming out. It's probably be out already by the time you hear this. And then I'm doing these pop-up workshops. I like to do pop-up live things. I do them for a little while and then I stop doing them. Like I was doing strategy calls for a little while and then I stopped doing them. It's just my way of, I like doing live stuff. I do live stuff in Next Level Living. That's the only program I do live stuff in. And it's my way of just being able to do readings and get to know people and really help them out and lets people get to know me at a lower price point, right? So that you could decide if you want to join Next Level Living and work further with me. So, and I don't know why you wouldn't want to because I'm very honest, organic, and the teaching in Next Level Living is really next level because it's my guides. It's not me. It just comes through me. So, 10Xing your life, 20Xing your life, getting into the driver's seat of your life. I'm going to talk a little bit about 10Xing your life, 20Xing your life, and 20Xing your life. So when I started to 10X my life in 2022, everything kind of fell apart. But it had to fall apart. So And I guess I feel confident in saying that right now because I've been hearing from a lot of my students. And I'm going to segue a second. For those of you who are looking to do a healing business or a reading business, or you're doing a coaching business, or you're doing some type of digital marketing or teaching. And I think it's sometimes hard for people in the spiritual space to really acknowledge what they can do. And we do see those who do it, they acknowledge it from a lot of ego centered place. And we don't like that, right? We don't want to be any part of that. But then there's those others that they can acknowledge it and own it from a very centered place, which is beautiful. And then there's those of us in the middle who are like doing this incredible work, really changing people's lives, but we don't know how to express it or share it or own it or receive the compliments that we get from our students, or the people that we're working with, our communities. And recently I've had a few students like say things to me, and I don't even like calling them students because to me, they're part of my community. They're anybody in Next Level Living. I don't see them as definitely am organizing the group and I'm teaching them, but they're masters in and of themselves. They just are. They're gifted, and I recognize everybody's gifts. I don't think that anybody's higher or lower than anyone. I think we're all in this beautiful playing field of metaphysics and psychic abilities and grounded energy, and just there's so much going on in that program that's so amazing, and everybody is really incredible. But for this purpose of the story, I'll say students. So a few of them have said things to me recently that I'm like, you really need to start receiving it and hearing it. They'll say, you've changed my life. One person in particular, she might be listening to this podcast. I'm not going to say her name, but I'm doing a retreat in the last week in October. By the time you hear this, the retreat will be over. And she was like, I really want to go to this retreat. I really want to meet you in person. You don't understand how much you've changed my life. And I have a really hard time receiving stuff like that because to me, it's not me who's changing your life. It's them, right? Yes, I'm going out with teaching and I'm going out with certain types of out of the box thinking. And I'm asking you to use your own personal instrument in a way that maybe you haven't recognized before and nobody's taught you how to do before. I'm teaching you about mindset. I believe in you. I get to see soul expansion. I know that I can see people's expansion way beyond what they can see in the moment. I know that's a gift of mine. Some of you may relate to that gift. Like I can look at somebody and I can see their complete expansion and tell them what they're meant to be doing. And I know I do all of that, but when somebody says to me, you've changed my life, normally I'm like, well, it's really you because you just heard something and you wanted to change, and that's what we're going to be talking about. And then you made it happen. But I also have to acknowledge that it is my teaching. It is the way that I present myself. It is the way I hold space for people. It is the way I don't sit here and go, look at me on a pedestal. I'm like, no, we are like an even playing field right here. We are together. I celebrate you. You celebrate me. It's lovely. And I really do feel like that's a gift because I've seen a lot of people out there, teachers and coaches, especially in the spiritual realm, and they don't do that very well. They are very much about my mind, mine. I'm this, I'm that. I can speak to dead people better than you. I'm like, we could all fucking speak to dead people. Get over it, bitch. So, I wasn't going to curse anymore. Damn. Well, whatever. It happens. It slips out. I think it helps. It helps with you understanding the message. So, I'm learning to receive it and I'm receiving it. And somebody else just wrote me a note about how much I've changed their life and how they're so grateful they met me and how they're seeing so much change in me. A lot of my students are saying to me, oh my goodness, I ran into one of my students in a parking lot at the grocery store, and I didn't recognize her. I'm really bad at face recognition and I'm really bad at names. And I realized that when she said it, and she said her name, and I was like, oh my goodness, it was so nice to see her. And you could just see like she was just happy, like she'd been wanting to get together because she lives close by, and I don't like committing to anything but tennis on the weekends. And I do want to see her. I would like, we'll probably do something during the week, especially since she's in my town now, and I'd love to see her and spend a little time with her. But it was just lovely. And it's things like that I used to have a hard time with, like when people would hug me and be like, oh my goodness, you did this, you did that for me, or you said this, you said that, or you told me this in my reading and it completely shifted my life. And you think that I've tried it a couple of times where people be like, let's go hiking. I don't usually develop relationships with my students or my clients at all. I take it like a psychologist. But I did it a couple of times early on, and I was like, yeah, that's why I don't want to do this. And I'll tell you why. It doesn't become a peer-to-peer walking in the woods. It becomes a tell me what you think. And, I'm ending up working the whole time on the hike. And I'm like, I'm not here to do work. So, or people sometimes are afraid to be around me in that way, because when they did a reading with me, I saw such things. I made them feel vulnerable because of everything I saw, and they couldn't hide from me, right? So it was so lovely seeing this one student and just feeling her love towards me. And I'm like, I need to learn how to receive that. I need to learn to acknowledge that. I need to learn how to acknowledge all the work that I've done for so long. I've been in business since I was 40. I'm 57. It's like I've been in business for so long. I need to acknowledge this, and I need to acknowledge it because I'm 10xing, 20xing my life. I'm not hiding in the shadows anymore. So I need to be okay with this. I need to be okay with stepping out and acknowledging the work that I do and how much it really affects change in people's lives. And that's why most of my students, most of the people in Next Level Living, they've been with me for years. People stay with me for years because I'm constantly evolving and changing, and then they're evolving and changing, and I'm working on myself all the time. So I share that with you because some of you may hide. You may be like, I'm a really good reader, but you hide. Like I did 2 interviews this week, and one interview with the woman was sharing about her healing capabilities. And the way she shared it with me, they were off the charts healing capabilities, like insane miracle healing capabilities. And something happened, we didn't get deep into it, where she tucked them away. And I understood that because I was like that with speaking to deceased people. I was off the charts from day one. And because there were all these, and I've shared this story, when I went into some of the rooms and started studying with people, there was all this competition about, I'm this medium and I'm that, I'm a medium to the celebrities, and And I don't like that kind of competition. So it shut me down. So I put that gift in the back pocket, and I said, I'm not going to really let them do that. Let them fight for all that space. I don't want to fight for it. And you got to study like this, and you got to study in the English school and blah, blah, blah. And you have to be in Spirit Circle. And I couldn't take the noise. So I just shut it down. And I started reopening it up like 2 years ago. It was always there. It was always part of me. Deceased people come in, they'll start talking to me when I'm in a reading, when I was doing readings and stuff. But it wasn't to like now I'm like, okay, come on in. Like, I'm ready. Because it was like names, dates, things that were like off the charts. So some of us have such gifts that we had them, we embraced them, and then we got around people and we could feel that maybe it made people uncomfortable. Maybe the people that we loved in our life, our light was too bright for them, and it made them feel bad about themselves, and we knew it, so we started dimming our light, right? So we do all this like funky stuff because we're these very sensitive beings that really care about humanity. And the person we end up hurting is ourselves. So I talk a lot about this, and I want to bring this to all of you because I witnessed something last night. So I have this new product, 10x Your Life, and it's really about goal setting, but it's not about goal setting in the way that you think it is. It's about really getting clear on what you need to release, how you get into the new paradigm of yourself, and how you live from this place of already existing in your physical system. And when I mean it already existing in your physical system, the way that I could explain it is I have the energy vibrating throughout my body that is the experience of what I desire. And it's just there. It's just vibrating. And I'm going to tell you things that I'm doing that's making that happen. It's just vibrating on its own. Like, it's kind of insane. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This feels unbelievable and incredible. And it's not to say that I don't have moments in time where I'm crying over something or upset about something, but it does not last long. And I recognize those moments as expansions. I never look at them at like, I had a moment this week with my one of my tennis coaches that he said something to me, and my nervous system went nuts in the moment. And on the drive home, and my insecurity was like screaming in my head. And I was like, what the F is going on? Like my nervous system, I couldn't calm it down. And it didn't last long at all. I got really clear about it. And those are moments I get to teach you, right? I get to learn something remarkable and beautiful as I move forward. Matter of fact, Jessica, a good friend of mine, I left her a message on Voxer because sometimes talking it out helps me. And then I figured it out, and I wrote her a text and I said, oh, you don't have to answer it. But she did. And she's like, I really feel this is a boundary, and you have the right to say, if you don't want to go, you don't want to go. And I was like, thanks, Jess. That's exactly what I was feeling. And it's so great to hear it from you. So my whole point about this is when you decide to live in expansion, You're going to have moments of difficulty as well as moments of incredible things happening. But when you come from this very centered space inside where you understand your energy, your emotions, what you want to experience, what you want to have in your life, we're going to talk about whether you want to have in your life. When you come from that place of knowing what you want, what you want to have, being really centered in it, grounded in it, acknowledging it, owning it. I see a lot of people brush it off what they really want. When you come from that place and you have that energy vibrating in your system every single day, you can't help but attract incredible change into your life. It just you can't help it. It happens. So last night when I was doing this interview, what I noticed, and I haven't done these interviews in a while because I backed away from them. One, I was building my business up in a whole new way. And number two, I got tired of the people who want you to do it for them. Like, you are not my person if you want me to do it for you. I am not going to do anything for you. I will tell you, I will coach you, I will give you things to think about that you've never thought about and help you to get to the solution. I will support you, I will cheerlead you, I will believe in you, but I can't do the work for you. And what I noticed in the comments was the people who were still taking a back seat and not driving in the driver's seat of their life. And I'm like, why aren't you in the driver's seat? Well, I can't really I don't know. I'm having a hard time trusting my guides. Who gives an F? Just trust them. If it feels good, just trust them. If this is what you desire, just do it. There was one woman, and it was public anyway, so I guess I could say it, but I'm not going to say her name. She was sharing this beautiful imagery that she got in a meditation. And it was beautiful, but it was going on and on. And I said, "What's your question?" Because you know me, I'm just like, cut to the chase, man. I don't got time. There's a lot of people on this call with a lot of hands raised. And I feel like what she was looking for in that moment was validation. And I'm all for validating ideas, but I need you to validate yourself. When you continue to wait for someone else to validate you, you're going to continue to struggle. Continue. So she kind of wouldn't go to the question, and I recognized later why, and I'll tell you why. And I said, "It's yours. Have it. Why are you waiting for someone to tell you you can have it? You want it. This felt good to you. You desire it. Now make it happen." And that's what 10X Your Life class is all about, making it happen. And that's what Next Level Living is all about. So I was a little like loving and harsh at the same time, which I can be at times. And then I messaged her privately while the host was talking about something else, because I just wanted to see how she was doing, if it made her think of something, because I do really genuinely care about people. Unless you're a bitch to me, then I don't care about you. If you're mean to me, or you're going to write me things like, "Why don't you give away to the poor?" Like, I have no patience for you. Go someplace else. I don't have patience for that. I can have a short fuse. But this woman, she was really working through something. And I care genuinely for most people. I really do. Because most people are very respectful too. And she wrote to me, and I'm not going to say what she wrote to me because she wrote it to me privately, of what she was dreaming of and why this dream was so important. And I was like, in that moment, like, this is it. Have it. They showed it to you. You don't need validation. You'll get the validation as you take the steps towards it. You're going to have moments where you're going to hit a wall. You're going to have moments where you fall 3 steps back. That does not mean the universe doesn't want you to have it. It means that you need to learn something about yourself in order to fully receive it. Everybody thinks they're ready for the best-selling book, or the Oprah conversation, or the TV show, or the YouTube video that goes viral. Are you ready for the critics that say nasty things to you? Are you ready for the moment when you go to meet somebody famous and they're going to interview you, and then you screw up the interview? You've got to be ready for that stuff. And that's all these building blocks that are happening. I'll never forget one of the first sizzle reels I did for a TV show. And I loved I had this group of producers around me. They were amazing. We all got along great. But then they went to another production company to finance the sizzle reel. I didn't like them, but I was outvoted, and that's who they chose to go with. And I'll never forget the sizzle reel, standing there reading this woman who was suicidal because her fiance died the day he was coming to move with her on a train accident. And we're at the place where the train accident happened. And I'm sitting there reading her, and I'm like, he does not want to come through. He's tired of this. He doesn't want to talk to you. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, he's not giving me messages. Why is he doing this to me? Oh my goodness, they have the cameras rolling. This is a big sizzle reel. These bigger producers who are paying for this don't know me as well as the inner circle. And there was one producer who was in the inner circle who I really liked, but he was a skeptic. And I didn't know anything in the story because I don't want to know anything whenever I'm reading anybody. And he's trying to encourage me to go on because they knew the full story. I didn't. And he's like, giving to me as I'm on camera, like, go, just keep going. And I went on a little bit, but I was having this insecurity in the moment. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this guy isn't coming, the spirit's not coming through. What the fuck am I going to do? They're doing a sizzle reel. And so I said, I told her, your fiance is telling me you did something here in this spot, dedicated to him, did it to him. He doesn't want you doing this anymore and you need to move on with your life. Later on, I found out from the producers that she could not get over her fiance, that the fiance was actually giving me the message that she had to move on, and that she actually went to the spot with a gun and was going to kill herself. And that's what he was talking about. So I remember before I knew that information, after that shoot, and I had to shoot all day with them, I was in my car and I was like, oh my goodness, this is horrible. What do I do? That's the moments. You need those moments to character build for the bigger moments so that you stand in the power of who you are. So with this one woman, I told her, you have to trust it, you have to believe it. And then she said, do I need to have a session with you first before I do your class? And I was like, no. Like, if you ever hear me say you need to have I coach people. Yes, I have coaching clients. I take very few of them. Next Level Living, I'm all for it. People in there, I coach them once a month. The people get into the hot seat and everything. But I don't think you need a session with me to decide what you already know about your own life. That's why I know I'm different than people out there. And I am celebrating it. I was talking again at one of the interviews and I was sharing, she didn't know much about me. She saw me on Facebook and she said, I just had to have you on this telesummit. And when we were talking, I was just sharing a little bit about what I teach. And she was like, oh my goodness, you're just like, and she named this very famous psychic, very famous. And I'm not going to name her just because I don't know her. So I don't want to give credibility to someone if I don't know what kind of person they are. They seem good to me. They have a lot of books out there. Good for them. They're not like the other famous medium that I met that I would punch in the face because I think he's the meanest person in the world. And he was nasty to everyone. But anyway, so she's like, oh, she teaches like that. And I didn't know that because I never studied with her. And I was like, oh, that's really good to know. That's really good. And the way that I teach is use your instrument, your own body, your own gifts. The way I'm very clairvoyant, like super crisp clairvoyant, you may not be. And that's okay. Doesn't mean that you're not clairvoyant. It just means that you receive messages a little bit different. So it sounded to me like this teacher taught the same kind of things. And I teach the symbolic language of your soul, how to read symbols based on life experience, because spirit speaks to us in vibration and symbols, and then we interpret it into words. So anyway, going back to the story about 10xing your life. So the thing that I noticed, so people would be like, one woman was like, I had a really incredible spiritual experience and then it went away. What do I do now? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you do now? You had a spiritual experience. Don't negate that. Have another one. Go out and have another one. And this is where people might think I lose patience, and I do a little bit. Because what I see from the people that I work with are extremely gifted individuals, very, very, very gifted individuals. And when I see people put brakes on that, it drives me insane. And I was talking to my own therapist about this because I said that I've shifted. And I believe, I don't know a lot about my own therapist at this point. I'll be doing my 6th session after I record this, which I have to go in a few minutes. And she kind of interviewed me before I worked with her because I have a feeling she works with people like me, from what I could gather from her, and that she's not going to work with somebody who hasn't done a lot of work on themselves. I might be wrong. I don't know, but she strikes me as that because she's at a whole different level as a therapist that I've noticed. So I was saying to her, I used to be a victim, and I think I have very little tolerance for victims out there. And she was talking about finding compassion for that kind of behavior. And I was like, I agree with that, but I can't teach it. I can't teach someone who wants to stay stuck, who wants me to tell them how to live their life. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to say, no, that doesn't feel like alignment. Like I remember somebody in Next Level Living wanting to do a coaching program and it was distracting her from something else. And I was like, we got into a conversation about it, and I asked a lot of questions, and she got clear, and she's like, you're right, I'm just distracting myself, or I need to do this for such and such. You just have to get clear about those things. So I want you in the driver's seat for your life. You cannot 10x your life if you're not in the driver's seat. I recently, and I'm going to give you examples and stuff to do because I know I'm on a time clock now, which is a good thing because then this podcast doesn't have to be 3 hours long. And I'll continue on this topic because this is what I'm teaching. This is where my teaching is going more and more. And if you want that class, I don't know what you just go to my website and you'll find it. I don't know what the URL is going to be yet. And then by the time you listen to this, we're actually throwing in a free bonus call of productivity call because I'm very good with productivity and goals and working with scheduling. So just go to my website and you'll find it. I hope. So what I want you to know is that you have to be in the driver's seat of your life. You cannot 10x your life. That's the story I was going to tell you if you're depending on other people. So I recently had something happen like few weeks ago, and it was a very incredible experience that opened up my heart. My heart was so open, and I was like, oh, this is a lot of fun. And it's kind of the experience that in the past, like 10 years ago, I would go to a psychic to find out, what's he thinking? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. I don't go for readings. There's no reason for me to go for a reading ever. Do I think readings are bad? Not at all. I remember when I was really pulling back from readings about 8 years ago, one of my students said to me, you don't understand that I came to you for a reading and it really helped clarify things. And I get that. I really get that. So you may be someone who needs a reading. Just make sure you go to someone who is really going to support you on your journey. So when I do readings with people, I'll say, I used to say this, take what you like, leave the rest. You're the master of your journey. I'm not the master of your journey. If you don't like something you hear, then you have every right to shift and change that. You can change it. So just make sure you go for that. But anyway, so I was going through this experience and I was like, I'm not going for a reading. There's no reason. And I thought about it a couple of times. I'm like, maybe I should. I'm like, no, you're not going to believe anything they say anyway, because you have your own guidance. So why would you go? And that's true. Now, look at me. I'm telling you guys, I take classes. I have a therapist. I think all of that stuff is great. But I work with people who empower me to know my own instrument, to know my truth. I'm working with one coaching client, and my question to her constantly is, what is your truth? What is your truth? Pause and find out what your truth is. Because that's what we're all doing in every moment of our life. So to 10x your life, right? What does 10x mean? I'm going to briefly describe this. To me, it's about moving the needle forward in the goals that you really desire. It's not sitting back waiting for the universe to present something. Oh, my debt is gone, or I finally have the boyfriend and now my life can start, which a lot of us have done, me included, for a long period of time. When I have this, I can do that. When this finally happens, this will, it'll be this. And then I learned in the end of 2021, when I was looking at some of my goals that have not moved, I was like, what the F, man? And my guides are like, you need to 10x your life. And they were talking about this guy, Ron, who I know, Ron Reich. He's a great guy. He was a coach that I studied with, super nice guy. He 10x'd his life in a year. And I watched it transform. And I know him really well. It wasn't a lie. So I contacted him, right? They said, contact Ron right away. And I contacted Ron, and he told me what he did. And he gave me some tools and techniques. And he's like, it's my favorite topic. And I was like, thanks, Ron. Super sweet guy, always helpful. And so I went and I just started 10xing. And I didn't know what that meant. If Spirit said to me, oh, your business is going to fall apart, I may have been like, I'm not so sure if I'm going to do this. It's the best thing I did. It is the best thing that by the end of 2022, I said to my new assistant, Jess, who I love, she's so sweet. And Laura was great too. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Laura. But I said to Jess, I need to 20x. And she's like, no. And I've told this story before, but I did. And now I'm 20xing. And I'm sure next year I'm going to move it even more. Now, to the outside person, that might mean to gurus and marketing people out there, they might be like, that's 10xing your income, and that's 10xing your home life, and that's having the boat and the Tesla and all that stuff. For me, as much as I think that stuff is great, if that's what you want, nothing wrong with that. It's definitely setting those goals as earmarks, navigational tools, certain kinds of income goals, salary goals, business goals, love goals, health goals. It's setting all those goals, which I think are super important. And then what's more important to me is making sure that each and every day I'm aligning with the choices that move me towards that goal. And that's where the work is. So what happens is I'm really creating from the inside out, and then the outside is just shifting. It's just changing. It can't help but change and shift. So I have a bunch of goals, right? I have 10, 10 goals I think I have for the year, and I revisit them on a regular basis. And I also break them out quarterly because I work on a quarterly basis, and then I break them out weekly and stuff like that. You would think it doesn't drive me crazy. It's amazing. And then I surrender. I don't sit here and go, oh my goodness, I didn't make this much by such and such a date. I'm a failure. I don't do that at all. I'm like, how am I doing? I'm doing pretty freaking good. I'm getting programs out there that I've been wanting to get out there. I am building my social media presence. Next Level Living is building. Everything is good. I'm staying focused. Oh, what's not working? Because every week in this program that I work in, it asks you what didn't work and what did work. And I'm like, oh, I'm not staying on my calendar, or I'm not moving things over. I have too many appointments. I only do appointments Tuesdays and Wednesdays, usually client appointments. So it's very rare that I'll put one in on a Thursday or a Friday. So, because I need content days, total free days. So that's all happening, and I'm moving things along. And what was even more impressive to me when I reviewed it after the second quarter of this year, the goals I wasn't even working on, they were moving forward. Why? Because the domino goals, you learned the domino goals in the 10X class, is I'm working on the domino goal. It is a trickling effect to all the other goals. So I was focused on business, and then it was affecting health, and it was affecting my physical, my body, and it was affecting love and romance and friendships and tennis. And so when I was just reviewing it now after the third quarter, I was like, holy mackerel, it is just moving forward. And the other thing I could see from the goal, I had a goal about growing social media. And I was like, we can't do this right now until the first quarter of next year. And I'm not upset about it. I don't feel like, oh my goodness, you didn't do it. It's more like I understand the timing of things and how things are working and really what I have to do and the pieces I have to put into place. Things usually take longer than we think, but they could take shorter. You don't know. So that is what it is. So the main message I'm going to say to all of you is stop waiting for someone else to tell you what you already know to be true for yourself. And if you're completely in the dark, then start with doing things that you really love to do. I have 2 great YouTube videos on my YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and put my name in and do the 7 to 10 list, I think it's called on YouTube, and the souls list, just do them. And those will really help you to get clear about what it is that you're meant to do with your life. And also, your life isn't just about business. It's about love. It's about health. It's about being physical. Like I don't usually talk when people tell me they have health issues. I usually stay away from it because I'm not a medical intuitive. I don't want to be a medical intuitive. And I always think there's so much more than just the physical health, right? But what always amazes me is people tell me they're having physical health problems, and then you're finding out they're eating poorly, they're not sleeping, they're just sitting on the couch, not working out. Maybe they can't physically move, but if you're eating poorly, if you're not drinking water, you're not taking care of yourself. So you have to, like, part of the 10X class is you have to take an inventory of where you really are and what you're not doing. And in order to 10X your life, you have to be extremely honest with yourself about what you're doing and what you're not doing so that you can change. Like for me, one of the needles I wanted to move was friendships, romance, home life, different things. And I had to get really honest with myself. Like, what aren't I doing? Oh, it's the 10 pounds I want to lose. Well, you know what? Now I'm running. Now I'm doing so much and I'm loving it. My physical activity is like, I've always exercised, but now I've moved it to a whole other place. So romance, bam, getting asked out, loving it, having fun. I actually said on this telesummit last night, I'm like a horny 15-year-old girl. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just said that. Now I just said it on the podcast. Whatever. It's life. We have the right to live the best life that we want to live. And I don't care how old you are. I was talking to one woman, and when people lead with their age, that's a mindset thing. When people say I'm 71 or I'm 68, I'm 55, people will do it. I'm 35. Stop it. That's a mindset. Every day is an opportunity to have a new beginning. Every day. So I want you to really think about, what would it mean for you to 10x your life? What does that mean to you? And again, you're going to hear a lot of people talk about it out in the marketing business world. Different people talk about it, 10x your life. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It doesn't bother me. I didn't shy away from the title because it's so overused. People are like, oh, that title's so overused. I don't really care. I love it. It freaking changed my life. So what does it mean to you to 10x your life? What do you have to do? Where do you need to, where is the needle not moving forward? And be honest with yourself and move that needle forward. Have fun. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to be surprised, because what's going to happen. Oh, I didn't tell you the rituals. Let me tell you real quick what's happening to my own physical body. Like, I just can feel this energy vibrating so incredibly. It's so alive inside of me. And I'm feeling the joy and like the connection. And it just makes me want to do more things of the habits that are helping me. So I have my own business, right? So I get to, and if this is the life you want, I created this. Somebody didn't hand this to me. I made it happen. I get up in the morning and I journal. I always journal every single morning. If even if I have, it's very rare that I don't journal in the morning. If I have an early flight somewhere, I will journal on the plane. I have to journal. And then sometimes I will meditate channel after that. Then I take the dog out and then I exercise. And my exercise can be running, biking, yoga, weight training. I'm starting to add again. So any of that. I don't start my day until all that is done. I don't really look at Facebook, Instagram, Slack. I've been doing it a little bit lately just because it's been busy, but I very rarely will do that. So that's how I start my day. And then I start my work day. Then at night, I have this, I always pray. I say some prayers because I just have that Catholic in me and I love it. And then I've been doing meditations for like 20 to 30 minutes at night. And it's been absolutely amazing. I actually look forward to them and I fall right after the meditation out like a light, fall right to sleep. So that's what I do at night. I used to do a gratitude list. That's what I do now. I do prayers and then I do meditation. All right, guys, enjoy. Go out and 10x your life if you're interested, and have an incredible day or night whenever you're listening to this. And remember to please rate, review, subscribe. So many of you listen to this. For the amount of people that tell me that listen to this, and when I look at my Apple rating and reviewing it, you're not rating and reviewing me. So go to Apple, go to the show. Don't go to the episode because you can't find it that way. And then you'll be able to scroll down and rate, review, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much. Bye.